It's been nearly 4 months since we all came together in Sapporo, Japan for the ALGS Year 4 Championship, where we saw the amazing team Go Next receive the highest award for competitive play and of course receive that stunning championship trophy. And that was of course my debut into the Apex family. With Year 5 well underway, we now find ourselves here in the Big Easy for the first massive, big, colossal LAN of the season, which brings the Triple H's, the heat, the hype, and huge changes. Welcome everyone to the ALGS New Orleans Open. My name is Ryan Hart, and I'm going to be one of your guides throughout the next 4 days of intense action. But I'm not here alone. I've got Lace standing by in the pit, where sheer skill, determination, and true grit will decide a team's fate. Hey Lace, how's it going? Can you tell us a little bit more about what we can expect?
Absolutely, Ryan. With over 100 teams in this competition, this is ALGS' biggest one in history. And of course, without that, this is the first time we've actually implemented legend bans, along with 2 brand new maps, Broken Moon and E-District. So over the next 4 days, we're going to have 4 matches running at the same time. So absolutely chaotic, but that's exactly what we love about Apex Legends. It's going to be an absolutely crazy, fierce ride. And you know what? I'll be here alongside Ryan to bring you all the Apex action when the time happens. So Ryan, but that's not without saying, you've got some familiar faces potentially that we want to introduce.
I do indeed. I've got some beautiful visages here, of course, 4 faces that will no doubt in the future be chiseled into statues for the New Orleans. Now, we got to talk about it. Over 100 teams in the mix, $1 million in the prize pool. This is going to be insane. But before we get into any of that, what did I just watch? You got to talk to me about this.
I mean, talk about putting your body on the line, man. You know, I do this for the ALGS. I love you guys. I love everybody watching. We actually had an amazing experience. Although they only cut to me screaming, which was part of the character, we had guys who had jumped over 23,000 times with the Red Bull Air Force taking us down. Timmy jumped twice that day, by the way. So shout out Timmy. He was actually a pro. And Hal, it was him and my first time doing it. Pretty amazing. I don't know if I need to do it again. You know, I just had a kid, so you usually skydive before you have a kid. But it was fun, man. It was amazing.
Definitely something to tick off the bucket list, no doubt. Now, Jameson, you know, we all went out for a local meal. Tell me, how do you feel about the local New Orleans cuisine?
Oh, I mean, it's fantastic. It's so great, right? I mean, coming from Los Angeles, we have great food out there, but coming down here, it's a completely different beast, right? We're not used to the jambalaya and the po' boys, but it was all well seasoned. It was great portions. That's the thing,
that's true,
right?
that's
I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy, so I like my portions, and they definitely, you know, treated us right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you like your flavors, they got it going on here in New Orleans, man. Everything was absolutely insane. Quality was ridiculous.
It was.
Portions definitely well balanced as well. So as you guys, you know, kick on with the show, I'm gonna kind of leave you out, tag out, let you guys get on with it. But I want to know, like, you know, with this many teams in the balance, right, all vying for that top spot, it's going to be insane, right? So maybe I think some of the viewers might value some insight in what they can expect from having a LAN with, which is already insane, but over 100 teams in the mix. What do you think about that piece?
I mean, I think that in general, now that there's more teams on the line, you also have faster rounds. Like, we're already going through Elim 1 today. That means people are leaving today. They just arrived and they could go home already. And, you know, the risk and the stakes are at the highest off the get-go, which I love, because in previous tournaments, it might have been, you know, a few days into the tournament before it starts heating up. But now, you can't start cold anymore. You gotta pop off.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and also, you know, the other thing to think about is a lot of these teams may not have a lot of experience on LAN. They might be experienced in the game, but they've never played on LAN. This is going to be a huge experience for them.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, with that, I'll leave you guys to it, and I'll let you get on with the show.
Appreciate it. Ryan Hart joining us yet again. You know, Lace as well is going to be over there keeping us to date with what is going on. Zeph, he mentioned it, but just to kind of set the stage yet again, this is the biggest LAN that we've ever had in terms of players, but it's also a LAN that supports the grassroots style of what esports are. Apex kind of getting back to those roots in a way to allow teams that, yes, are our favorites. You look at Navi's, you look at some Virtus Pros coming in hot, you look at Falcons here, but there's also some teams people have never heard of that are playing all throughout these 3 and 4 days, hopefully into Sunday, that we're going to be keeping an eye on very heavily.
That's right. I mean, it's the first time that so many of these teams are getting the opportunity to compete in a competition of this level, which comes with its own pressure and nuances that so many of them have gotten the opportunity to watch at home, but now get to take part in as a participant.
How does that factor into it? I mean, Grace, you were talking a little bit about it, but how does that play? Do you think there's an advantage in someone in a tournament like this coming in fresh, not having experienced other ALGS style tournaments that are a little different?
Circuits
Yes.
we played, and it was a free-for-all. So I'm really happy because now we'll see a lot of teams that people know. Like there's so many players, especially in the pro community and also on streamers that people follow specifically, that they know are good but haven't had their spotlight yet. So I'm sure after this tournament we'll have so many players where people are like, that guy's underrated, that guy's so good, this guy's good. So I hope that they come in with a fire, because like I said, you could go home today, so you don't really have a lot of room for errors.
In a weird way, like the landscape of this is different, and in a way it's different for the amount of teams that are here, it's different for the way that we're organizing it, and we want to make sure that you're caught up to date. If you just caught us in Sapporo a few months ago, this is going to have a fresh look, a fresh feel, but that's what's exciting about it. So let's walk you through the format over the next couple of days. We got 145 teams here to play. Normally an Apex Legends tournament is 40 teams. So think about that, 105 more teams than usual. We've got 8 series to play. And here's the graph that I expect you all to understand right away. I'm just kidding. You don't have to. It's pretty complicated when you look at it, but it's super simple when I tell you the next thing I'm about to say. We head to it. You essentially want to keep winning. And if you lose once, and by losing we mean you're in the bottom 10 of one of your groups, you have one more chance where you can be in the bottom 10. If you're in the bottom 10 twice, over the course of this tournament, you are out. That's essentially all it is. So what you want your favorite team to be doing is to stay in that top 10, to keep on playing. If they get bottom 10 one time, that's okay, but you hope they don't do it again, because otherwise they are out. Jamerson, there are a lot of moving pieces into this, and not only just the players, it's going to be great to cover all of those new stories here on broadcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic because, like you had mentioned, this is a completely unheard of scale in terms of stage, right?
Yeah.
And that also means it's an unheard level of exposure.
Sure.
The amount of APAC North and APAC South teams that are here, more than we've ever had before. Able to really see what these teams can actually bring through.
Will it be the IGLs on Falcons, former teammates, now enemies, representing the Americas? Of APAC North, you see the Fanatics, Riddle Order as well, teams that have been there. Crazy Raccoon with Obley, a land winner in our split one of last year. Can he do it again here in a different venue? America seems to do well for that team in particular. APAC South also representing, you see Heroes, they've been with us for so long and continue to impress. And I think, Graceful, as you continue to look at this, there's so many different teams that we know, especially in EMEA.
Yeah, there's plenty of teams that we know. We haven't really seen them in the beginning that haven't had, like I said, a spotlight, but now they're here. But these are all players that we all recognize, that we have played, we have scrimmed against, we have played with them. They just haven't just made it, but now they're here because this is such a big land, and they're finally here, ready to prove themselves.
And in the same way, Zeph, some people that we don't recognize are also here, but could be the moment that they... Some, but it could be in the moment that, with these teams qualifying from the Challenger circuit in different ways, they're trying to make a name for themselves, Ben.
I think being a part of this community, trying to make a name for yourself has been a big part of so many of these teams' identity for so long. And so at this LAN, you can see it already in some of the audience and the fandoms out there. There are these little niche groups of rosters that have come through with this
some new things in Apex as well that these players have to deal with. Not just the new names, the rosters, there's new elements to the game that we will hopefully dive in on desk, or I'm sure the casters will fill you in very soon. But today, let's take a look at the schedule coming up for you watching at home, or if you are in the venue with us in New Orleans. We've got ourselves 4. Our winners round 1 continued at 2:15, and we'll have another set that starts series, at 6:45. That will run simultaneously with elimination round 1. You might be wondering, well, how do I keep in touch with all that? We've got a website, and of course, Ryan and Lace, who will keep us up to date with the teams and how they're doing when they're not playing on main stage. That website is algs.ea.com. If you can't wait for an update from Ryan or Lace, then you can obviously go there and check the current live scoreboards so that you know how your team is performing. But let's talk first lobby, guys. I kind of want to start getting into it. I mentioned that there were legend bands coming in, but Group 1 as well. It's still about the teams, this narrative. We have some familiar teams in North America who are going to be looking to continue some dominance. You look at Virtus Pro, they've been playing phenomenally. LG, they're a team I have my eye on because they're one of the only teams that actually stayed together as the same roster and played many different lands. But top down, I mean, Jamerson, this is a lobby that has some potential winners in it.
Yeah, I mean, importantly, what we have to talk about is that we're in the early stages of this tournament, right? And usually when we start off on group stages or on the first day, that we're looking at lobbies where there's going to be high action, a lot of teams just looking to fight early. And so we know that with a lot of these names that we're bringing in, Virtus Pro, along with ExoClan, that these both are teams that can go absolutely fragging. And so we'll see if they carry that momentum in, but a lot of times we have those dark horses throughout our tournaments that just show up throughout the group stages, or even, you know, once we make it to the bracket stages throughout the winners rounds, and they end up just absolutely decimating lobbies out of nowhere.
And one of the things to clarify, part-timers and solo leveling, although you see them on here, they are not going to be participating in this tournament. So we will have an 18-team lobby, Jamerson, which gives it a little bit of a different feel too, but still should be similar.
Yeah, I mean, because of the maps that we're starting off in, I believe we are playing Stormpoint.
Yeah.
You know, that just creates a little bit more room. So I don't think it's going to affect the lobby that much. It really does just kind of change the map and who are the top 10 teams that are going to move on to the next round.
It's going to be interesting. You know, I want to get your deeper thoughts on that in a moment, but Graceful, I know you've come into this with your eye on a certain team. Who do you want to talk about here heading into Group 1?
VP for me has been a team that, you know, I've been looking at mainly because, like I said, I talk a lot about veterans for a reason. You know, everybody always says, is veterans really?
Because you're a veteran.
Yeah,
right?
I'm also a veteran.
You're biased.
You know, but everybody always says, is experience really all that? Why don't everybody just pick up, you know, fresh players that haven't maybe had experience and whatnot? But we've seen, you know, throughout the past 6 years that the experience does come through. You know, whether that be that you don't really have the cold hands on land, whether that be in high heated scenarios that you can still perform. VP is one of the teams, you know, leading with Zach as well, who has had also throughout the years a lot of ups and downs. You know, everything from Mazer moments to now. I think the Zach, the one that we cherish and we all cheer for, has finally proven his final form. He's at top now.
And he's a guy that has a lot to kind of go to prove in many ways. He's still looking for his moment of, I guess, catharsis, where he comes out and says, I actually have achieved what many people think my possible potential is. And that's something that the Open might lay ground for, because there's a lot of stories here. I feel like we're going to be surprised this tournament, Jamerson, you know, with who kind of shows up, who takes the narrative, because it is different. It is a little bit like avoiding mines in terms of surviving all these elimination brackets and making it to the very end. Looking at Group 1, though, who do you have your eye on?
Yeah, throughout this group, of course, we were talking about some amazing performances. We have to talk about, of course, the quick turnaround that we have from Pro League to this LAN. And so when we look at day 3 of performance throughout EMEA and NA, we have to talk about Nemesis. Nemesis had a standout performance when it came to the last EMEA match day. And they had a little bit of a slow start on day number 1 for them, right? It was match day number 2. But in day Number 3, they absolutely showed up. Take a look at that conversion rate in terms of top 10s, right?
Huge.
Nothing less than top 10, right? Top 8, nothing less than top 8. But the fact that they were able to get 4th 3 times and a win on Broken Moon, but also add on kill points along the way. So not only did they just perform extremely well, right? It wasn't a conservative win that they ended up taking there. They were involved in a lot of fights, and it really does come down to their ballistic pick, I want to really say. I think they utilized it extremely well. We didn't get to see it as much, but the ballistic does provide a lot. I want to talk a little bit more about that when we can.
Yeah, of course. We got to dive into that. I mean, legend bands, we've said it now once, but we will say it many, many times. It's going to be a huge change if you've joined us from Japan. But Zeph, I mean, we got to still focus on these teams. You've got one more one to watch as we head into this set.
And I know you guys like to focus on some of the highlights, but especially given the fact that this is such a large land, those dark horses really stand out to me. So Soten coming out of APAC North, this is a roster who arguably is as about the competitive Apex scene. They have no prior, no former LAN experience as well, but coming out of the initial days here in APAC North, one first match day win, we get to highlight the ending here of this game in particular, where they walk away with over 23 kills in the end there. Now, it is a roster that highlights some volatility. We talk about a little bit those bans there. That is something that they are still trying to figure out when it comes to highlighting what legends and how they play them. I know a lot of teams like to stick to some more concrete roles. This is a castle round who will play the altar in different spots, who will try to figure things out as all that can come with massive highlights like a win on day 2. It can also lead to a bust on day 3 in APAC.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about as we come back at halftime. We'll hit you on the desk here, and then, of course, to close the show. But our casters are going to get into some of the biggest things